Look, it's fine if you don't have an art style, because this whole thing has been totally overhyped. And honestly, you don't need an art style, nor should you focus on it. And while you watch me draw this, I want to teach you what do you actually want to focus on so that you have a distinct looking body of artwork that people will like, that people will want to put their eyes on too, and anybody can do it. Now, what prompts me to make this video for y'all today is just the fact that I feel like this is a rite of passage for every artist to go through, is to say, I don't have an art style. Is this you right now? Are you concerned that you don't have a distinct look, that yours doesn't stand out versus your peers or from the people that you follow online, or that maybe you don't get the eyes and attention of other people, or maybe you want to get clients and you're obviously going to think to yourself, well, it must be because of my art style, right? And I just want to go ahead and let you all know, no, that's not really what you need to focus on, okay? And instead of you looking for this magical unicorn called an art style, you should instead be focused on something way more important. And I've devised this from literally doing this for years, teaching people publicly and privately, one-on-one and in large group settings, so that you can pick this up a lot faster than most artists do. And if you've never met me before, my name is Sean. Welcome to the Art Mentor. And today, here's what I want to let you know. You should not focus on your art style. It's a worthless endeavor. It's like trying to chase and catch the wind. Instead, what you want to focus on are elements. So to help you stop obsessing over this topic, I'm going to teach you this through multiple applications, whether you want to do this commercially, whether you just want to do it for your own awesome illustrations. I'm going to give you this framework so that you can use it for all of these and so much more. And here's how it works. Now let's take this into a very relatable context for a lot of people, especially for you right now. Are you selling at conventions? Okay, I see a lot of people that are selling merchandise. I see a lot of people as well that are trying to go ahead and go to conventions, make a name for themselves, get their products out there. I'm a big champion for y'all, okay? And to go ahead and exemplify this topic here, let me just introduce to you my other mentee, Jocelyn, who right here, you can see her work, okay? When she first came to me, this was basically what she was doing. And one of the things that we discussed is that she was nervous that she would not stand out amongst everybody. And very specifically, what she said to me is, Sean, how do I make my stuff stand out amongst everybody else? And how is she able to charge more than some other people when she felt that her artwork wasn't as good as them? And I said, okay, well, here's the big problem. You're focused on the wrong pieces of this puzzle. And so back to the topic at hand, I said to her, look, if this is your stuff right now, you're focused too much on representation. And I said to her, you will lose that war. There are people that have been doing this a lot longer than you have, and therefore you're not going to win the war of representation. But you can win the war of what element are you inserting into your artwork instead, and that you're actually able to do versus other people. So as we take a look at this stuff, I've been working with her for a few months now, and this is kind of what we developed here, is the fact that this is not about likeness anymore, because likeness isn't enough if you're selling merch and convention gear. So instead, look at this here. Now she's doing more semi-realism pieces. It's much more emotive. It's much more expressive. We develop color palettes that really help enhance both the characters. And so we're not just getting, oh, look, here's Miles Morales. It's, oh, wow, now he's in this great exhilarating scene. Or, hey, we're not getting Lady Deadpool. This is now a really fun and kind of playful scene. You see where I'm going with this? And so this is what actually helps her stand out when she goes to conventions. And she's hitting her goals and she's doing great stuff. And by the way, too, just throw it out there, if you did want to learn more about my mentorship, like a lot of people I'm talking about that I have helped in this video, go ahead and check out the link in the description and you can learn all about it. But we're not done there, because in doing this and in doing it effectively, here's a big topic that you have to manage as well. Now, a really common concern that you're also going to have around this time is that you're so freaking slow. Is this you? And listen, let's now tackle the topic of speed. And now, first off, if you do want to go ahead and get a lot faster, both with your results and your artwork, then go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, because I will definitely be here every single week to go and give you hot tips and advice just like this. You have to understand, you can't focus on all elements of your work all the time, because it's like trying to manage 20 children. It's just not going to work out for you, friend. And so instead, here are some bad examples of things not to focus on. So for example, I hear a lot of artists that are like, well, I want to do League of Legends. Okay, what the heck does that mean? League of Legends is not like a style, okay? And when you take a look at the artists, they have elements that they're focused on. So for example, if you're looking at their splash art illustrations, splash art isn't a style, okay? It's just basically the element of really hyperdynamic action. It's like a freeze frame from when you're watching an anime fight scene, right? And what do they focus on? They're focused on high energy, high speed, high dynamics. Same thing too, people will be like, well, I want to develop a better anime style. But every anime that you watch has a different style. Like just as an example, you might want to go ahead and develop a more simplistic style, something that you would see maybe in Made in Abyss. Like for example, some mangaka like to focus a lot on folds, or some focus on hair, or you have some that are just heavy, extreme detail and texture, just like you'd see in the Berserk manga, okay? And here's another thing too, concept art. People be like, I really want a concept art style, but that's a bad focus. What the heck are you talking about? Because honestly, it depends on what company that you look for and what you have to focus on. So for example, if you wanted to make an Assassin's Creed game, you would have to focus a lot on heavy realism. You'd want those pieces to look like they're real locales that are really recognizable. So you'd want to study history, you want to study realism. If instead you want to go ahead and make Crash Bandicoot 5, this is all about silly exaggeration and bright color palettes and a lot of child imaginative styled artworks. And that's what makes it so fun. And so if you're trying to navigate your artwork every single time and you feel like you're always going really, really slow, first off, that's kind of natural at first. But then here's where I want to open the gates to your understanding. Speed is the product of repetition. And where you care is where your fruit bears. And that's why you can't care about everything at every step of the whole entire production. Does that make more sense? Moving on, one of the big things that you now have to understand is that deleting is adding when it comes to your artwork and developing something that's really unique in how you want to represent yourself. Cultivation is about refining care. So let's take a look at some examples so that you can clearly understand for yourself right now what is important to you and what is unimportant to you. I first off submit myself for your humble consideration. So take a look at my stuff. What am I actually doing? I don't care about line art. I really don't. I really, really don't. I'll be very honest with you. If you ever watch any of my speed paints that are just my line arts, I literally only do it to that level, strictly for YouTube, just so that I also practice it myself, but also so that I have something to put alongside my videos, which by the way, again, if you really are enjoying this, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate your support for the channel. And now why is that? Because I know that I'm gonna have lineless artwork at the end. If you have lineless artwork, why are you focusing so much on the line quality of it? It really doesn't matter. Other examples right here. Let's take a look at some World of Warcraft artwork, right? When you go ahead and you take a look at these bad boys, what do they not care about? Obviously, realistic proportions. It just doesn't matter to them. They're a lot more exaggerated. They're a lot more fun. They're more playful with their form language. Everything is bigger, bulkier, more extreme, right? And so that's what they chose to say, we don't care about that. We care about this. Here's another one of my mentees. Here's Freddie. Freddie does beautiful illustrations, and especially for you that just want to go ahead and make like jaw-dropping stuff like this, listen up. So one of the things with Freddie, again, he also doesn't care about lines, but then he also doesn't care that much about really hardcore value usage, because Freddie likes to go ahead and focus on really traditional art techniques. And here's a big level up tip for y'all in illustration. Learn traditional painting techniques so then you can apply them to your digital technique repertoire. And then also, one of the big things from Freddie's artwork you can see right here is that he adopts a much more Eastern color palette. This is favoring more color usage in place of values. And again, that's just because in my conversations, I came to understand, oh, he really doesn't care about that. He prefers this version of it. That's awesome. See, this is an element, it's not a style. And the biggest thing I want you to know about this is that deleting is adding, because it's focusing and creating the room for what you actually want to attack and ignoring the pieces that you really don't. Now, to clearly define what am I talking about, what I'm saying is that you need to focus on very specific elements, things in your artwork that people consciously and subconsciously latch onto and they go, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's unique. Oh, that's interesting. But listen, this is not hard stuff. It's not ambiguous. And that's why I don't like you chasing your art style, because there's no concrete metric to determine an art style. But this way, you have something to actually latch onto. So let me just first put forth myself for your consideration while you're watching me draw this too. And as we go ahead and we check out my work, what are the elements that I am really focused on every single time I draw? So whenever I create a piece, first and foremost, I'm really obviously focused on very dynamic action. I love to create high energy scenes. I also like to use very high energy palettes. Energetic compositions are my main jam, and I like to go ahead and make sure that everything's expressive to bring forth those storytelling elements. Those are very specific things, and they're things that honestly, even if you're not doing commercial illustrations like I am a lot, then you can do this stuff too. Let's put this into another context. Let's enter Sarah from my mentorship. Shout out to you. And as we kind of take a look at her stuff, what do we see here? She has a beautiful storybook style illustration, doesn't she? And it's also inspired a lot by manga and watercolor vibes. I know that one of her big inspirations is Sailor Moon, and it really comes through in all of these because they're absolutely gorgeous, right? But again, these are not intangible things. These are elements that she and I worked on to specifically put into her artwork, and then she further developed on her own. And now again, I want to put this into multiple applications for you. We'll talk about how you can do this commercially, how to stand out if you're selling at conventions, if you're selling merchandise, and how you can also put this into your own illustrations. But the big thing I really want you to latch on to right now is just the fact that you need to latch on to, okay, what are some things that are really important to you, my friend? So do you really love perspective? Do you really like big muted color palettes? Do you like to do more male-focused illustrations? Do you like to do more female-focused illustrations? Do you like to do animals? What in between exists? And I'm going to teach you how to use this for everything. But another thing that you also have to learn is why you're currently not able to pull those out. And here's what it is. And now you might be wondering at this point in the video, like, well, how do I do this? And what do you actually need to start to implement so that this can work for you? Well, here's what I first off want to let you know. All of this starts and begins 100% at your process. And why is your process so important for you? First off, if you don't have a process, that's fine. But it's important to, over time, start to figure one out for you, because your process is how you create predictable outcomes. In other words, it's also how you manage and increase your expectations all of the time. Again, going back to the cake example, you can't go ahead, crack some eggs, throw a whole bunch of ingredients in it, and then feel bad about yourself and say, oh, this is disgusting cake, okay? Nor can you go ahead and do 10 push-ups, get on the scale, look over your fat, flabby belly and go, oh man, I'm not jacked and ripped. Those are poor expectations. And so what I instead want you to focus on is, how are you managing your expectations? What do you care about at every single stage of development? So let me just go ahead and submit myself for your consideration once more. And so when we take a look at this is the first version of every single one of my artworks. And you never see this, okay? This is just a super stupid rough phase. It's really rough, it's really loose, it's really sketchy. And what I care about at this moment is literally just me figuring out where things are gonna go, where's the composition, where characters, any items like that. Then I go ahead and I level that up and I do another sketch directly on top of that where I figure out some more intricacies, a little bit of detail work, but it's only 50%. I don't need to focus on like, what exactly do the eyelashes look like? Or like, what exactly do the teeth look like on? Like, I don't care about that at this phase. I just wanna know like, wear clothes, wear some accessories, items, things like that. And then I go ahead and I do a line version, which again, I'm gonna do a lot nicer just because I wanna present it on YouTube nicely. And again, at this phase, I'm not caring about this at the same level as somebody who's a mangaka, who would take a lot more time with this. Then from there, I'm gonna do my rough colors. What I care about at this phase is not how freaking ugly this looks. Like, look at this. This ain't pretty, okay? And so, what I do care about though is just general basic lighting, and I want to create just an essential color palette. And it's fine, it's not beautiful looking, and that's one of the biggest things I have to manage at this point. Then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on me starting to lightly render it, taking it from flat, hard, graphically colored pieces into starting to blend it together a little bit. Which, by the way, if you're always blending things all the time, that's probably why you're going really slow. You want to focus more so, by the way, on just establishing these basics first. Then from there, I'll start to introduce textures. I'll start to introduce any special effects too, especially towards the end. And so again, what am I doing at each phase here is I'm managing every single one of my expectations, because just to kind of throw this out for you, I have to manage the ugly. And it's kind of like, I like to put this into the context of baking. Imagine that you were baking a cake. The first step, what do you have to do? You have to crack some eggs, right? But here's how most artists will operate as a baker, is that you'll pick up that egg and you'll inspect the egg. And maybe put that egg back and pick up another egg because it wasn't perfect enough. And then you'll inspect that egg, and then you'll put that one back, and you'll figure out until you get just the perfect 3. And then you're gonna go ahead, and you're not just gonna go ahead and smash that egg. No, you're gonna try and perfectly hit it on just the right side so that it doesn't smash. And then they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna get their other ingredients, and they're gonna measure it, and then they're gonna slowly scoop off the excess. Oh, and then it gets worse. And then you're gonna go ahead and put it into the oven, and then you're gonna take it out every single 30 seconds because you're anxious, you're nervous. You need to check on that cake. And then you're gonna keep putting it back. And then you're gonna keep taking it out and putting it back. And this is how a lot of artists work. In managing your care, you have to also, therefore, not care about a lot of things. And that's why too, like, I'll generally work in waves. And I'll not just focus on one part. I'll be like, let's pass some colors over this whole area. Pass some colors over this whole area. Let's pass some colors over this whole area. Great. Now let's texture this whole area, this whole area, this whole area. And then I work in waves, and I'll come back, and I'll come back, and I'll come back, and I'll come back. And that's why too, I generally like to give out like this image right here to my new clients who don't really know how it works when they commission an artist. And this helps them understand, like, oh, this is what they're gonna get every single week from me, so that they understand, like, hey, this part of the update, and I'll literally tell them too, like, hey, focus on this, don't look at this up over here. And as you're starting to develop your process, here are 3 stages that you will go through. You're gonna go through the learning stage, where you're trying to figure it out, you're trying new things. Then you're gonna go into the application phase. This is when you usually get a little bit more used to it. You have some type of general expected outcome. Sometimes things can falter, sometimes things can change a little bit, but you have a good general feel. And then finally from there is when you go into the natural phase. This is when you can work a little bit more confidently, because confidence comes from your repeated actions, not from just like some weird innate quality that honestly nobody has anyways. It's not just a process for how you create art, but it's also a process where you manage your trust and expectations in yourself. But you probably never heard it that way, have you? Moving on. Now you need to think about, how do you actually start to do this for yourself? And let me just tell you one of the worst ways that you can approach this. Do not ever, please don't do this, y'all. Don't start every artwork saying things like, I need to make this a great artwork. This needs to be good. This needs to be ready to go ahead and put it in my portfolio. This needs to attract clients. These are terrible foci. If you do this, you're literally setting yourself up for failure, and you're setting yourself up to be disappointed, because you can't objectively latch on to any of the things I just said. And so instead, focus on the features, focus on the elements that you like, that you want to bring out. To throw you out a few examples here, when you go ahead and take a look at this one. In this one, I wanted to create a very warm atmosphere with this cute interaction between this cat griffin thing and the human. Next, take a look at this vampire illustration I did. And my focus in this piece is to create this sense of just overall violence in the piece. And you're caught in this moment where all these figures down here are looking at this monster who's eaten one of their folk. And in this one, I really wanted a big, heavy focus on the magic components of it. I wanted also to bring a sense that, okay, this is a character who, although they can similarly use like a necromancer type skill, they're not evil. And that was something that I really wanted to focus on in my color palette. And so if you're not sure how to do this, let me just go ahead and simplify this. Only have 3 things that you're worried about in every single artwork, which is first off, the focus. What do you want somebody to look at when they first latch onto your artwork? Number 2 is, what do you want the mood of it to be? How do you want somebody to feel when they take a look at your artwork? What do you want them to resonate with? And number 3, what's your learning objective? You want something in every single artwork that you can build upon and that enriches and enhances your overall repertoire of skills. And in that is how you will design challenges for yourself that will actually build and grow your artwork. But we're not done yet. Next, if you're not sure exactly how do you do this, okay? Let me just give you some examples right now of some of the stuff that's gonna get in the way. First off is please understand that every artist goes through ugly phases. Look at all of mine. These are all examples right now of how my artwork started and then how it ended. And so you really have to understand this. Managing your care in your artwork is not about you knowing how it's going to turn out. It's not about you moving confidently through it. It's a matter of you persisting through to your desired end result, which again cannot just be, is this good or is it not good? Because that's a really silly outcome that you can't predict. But you can predict what you focus on instead. What elements you're inserting and what do you care about, friend? If you're really new to this, here's a big power move for you. Just focus on one thing that you want people to really like, and especially what do you like in every single piece. Just hardcore latch onto that and give everything the exact level of polish and finish that supports that one feature that you really like. Maybe it's that one character, maybe it's the hair, maybe it is the line quality of it, maybe it's your color palette. And so to give you another example, here's one of my other mentees. He makes really cool illustrations like this. And so one of the big things with her is that we said, hey, we want her to go ahead and have this illustrative use of really, really vibrant colors like you're seeing here. And these are all creatures too that were inspired by real life creatures. We took a look at what actually exists right now, what biological components can we put into these, and then how do we exaggerate and amplify them? These are the elements that she and I decided this would be best, and this is what's the highlight in order to get the clients that she wants. And then too, you might be asking yourself, well, Sean, I still am lost. How do I do this whole art style thing? Or are there some things that I can do in order to get there a little bit faster? And to that I'm saying, yes, there are. And in fact, I made an entire art style guide for you right here. You can go check it out and learn how to do it best. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.